I hear that people say that all the time, right? They're like, grocery prices have gotten so high that what's the point in trying to save money and grocery shop anymore? You might as well just eat out. I don't subscribe to that at all. I don't believe in that at all. And I think yesterday's story is a prime example of that not being the case. Now, if you're a single person and it's just you, maybe. But the majority of people that I hear making this argument are not single. They're usually families that have multiple people in their household, and I think that is just a way, in my opinion, for people to try to justify eating out. Is that they'll try to convince you that it's just as expensive. I wholeheartedly disagree. Do not believe it. Welcome to the Home Goals Podcast, the ultimate guide for turning your home goals into a reality. I'm your host, Derek Thornton. Join us as we navigate the twists and turns of obtaining a home. We'll be offering expert tips, helping you avoid pitfalls, and championing your journey towards that cherished place to call home. This week's episode, we'll be talking about a topic that I very much enjoy discussing because of my love of cooking and everything else. But we're going to be talking about meal planning and, more importantly, grocery savings. We hear the stories all the time in the news. You guys see it when you're going to the grocery stores yourselves. The costs at the grocery stores have skyrocketed, and it's really putting a strain on a lot of households financially. And so I wanted to take some time to talk through different tips and things that I use to kind of prepare for the week and make sure that I'm doing all that I can to be saving and frugal with those decisions that I'm making when it comes to the grocery store. And so we'll take some time breaking that down and kind of going into that, and also how that impacts your home buying journey. A lot of people may be sitting there thinking, okay, what does that have to do? How are these two topics connected? Food and shelter are two necessities that you're going to need for the rest of your life. And it makes sense that they're often going to be connected to one another. What you spend on one impacts what you can spend on the other. And so those are all two things that we're going through. And I don't want you to ever look at your bank statement and realize that you've eaten your savings, or that you've eaten what should have been your emergency fund or your funds to kind of help in other ways. Now, before I break that down and get more into this whole meal planning and grocery savings and all that stuff, I also want to make sure that I let you all know that I'm not naive to this whole housing affordability crisis that we're experiencing right now. I don't want you to think that I'm telling you that if you would just stop eating out, you'll be able to afford a house that you've always wanted and be able to get pre-approved for that loan. That's not what I'm saying, right? I understand that there is a massive problem happening right now with salary and wage growth not keeping track with inflation. I understand we got a student loan debt crisis that's happening. I understand that we have a health crisis that's happening right now that's causing even more strain on many households. I understand that the household credit card debt is higher than it's ever been. I understand all of that. And I am not saying that just changing this one little tweak to your grocery shopping trips or your meal planning is going to be the savior that's going to swoop in and keep you from all of these things. Causing stress and strain in your household. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that this can be one way to kind of help push you over the hump in some of the other areas, right? So if you have a conversation with your lender and they say, hey, you got the funds to get this set up, but if you could just save just a little bit more and maybe pay off a credit card over here, or maybe pay down that auto loan over there, we might be able to get more favorable terms or a better interest rate for you. Right? Those are some of the smaller things where you can kind of help and add that cherry on top to really help make sure that this is an enjoyable experience when you go through to buy the home, and that you have options, right? That's all this comes down to, right? Anytime you're talking about making cuts to your budget or trying to save up and anything like that, all you're trying to do is provide more options than what you originally had. The more cash you can stack up, the more money you can save, the more options you have when it's time for you to make that purchase, right? So this is just one factor of many that you can use to kind of help in your home buying journey. And also, when you purchase that home after you already moved in and you're officially a homeowner, that's not the end of different financial emergencies that may happen, right? There's still going to be home maintenance and repairs that are going to come up, and you want to be able to have savings on hand that you can use to address those issues, not if, but when they happen. And so this is another way that you can continue using these habits and tips that we're going to talk about to make sure that you're saving along the way. And when those things inevitably happen, you have a cushion and you have some funds to kind of help address that. And so really, I just want to kind of go through some of the tips, and I'll kind of go through a few things that I would advise you on. But before I kind of get into that, I also want to talk about what made me think about this topic in the first place. And it happened just yesterday. I was at the grocery store. I usually like to do my grocery trips on Sundays, Sunday mornings before we go to church. I like to go with my youngest, and the stores are usually pretty quiet. There's not a ton of people out during that time, right? Early on a Sunday morning. And so for me, it's the best time. The stuff is usually fully stocked at the grocery store. And so I just like to go on Sunday mornings and knock it out with him. And so we did our grocery shopping earlier that day. And on Sunday afternoons, we will usually do one of two things. We'll usually go eat at my family's house as a group, whatever. We'll kind of make something all together, or we'll just kind of do our own thing and kind of eat out for those days, right? And so yesterday, it was pouring down rain. It was a perfect just a nap day and kind of chill and do your own thing, whatever, as a family. And so we said, hey, we're just going to eat out for this meal. And so we went to Bojangles, hadn't been there in a while, and went through, ordered the food for everybody. Now we got a family of 5. I got 3 kids. It's my wife and I. And the meal that we got, it wasn't anything fancy or anything crazy. We just basically got a bunch of chicken strips and fries and everything like that. And that meal came out to $47, right? Just for the 5 of us. Now, also, I was comparing that to the grocery trip that I just had earlier that morning, where I went to 2 places. I went to Aldi first, and then I went to Food Lion. And both of those trips to get our groceries for the week, it came out to about $97, right? And so I thought that was an interesting thing, whatever. I've always believed, like I said, that doing your meal planning, doing your grocery trips is going to be the best way for you to save money. Even with the way that these grocery prices have skyrocketed, I never bought into that whole argument that, well, you just might as well eat out. Like I hear that people say that all the time, right? They're like, grocery prices have gotten so high that what's the point in trying to save money and grocery shop anymore? You might as well just eat out. I don't subscribe to that at all. I don't believe in that at all. And I think yesterday's story is a prime example of that not being the case. Now, if you're a single person and it's just you, maybe. But the majority of people that I hear making this argument are not single. They're usually families that have multiple people in their household. And I think that is just a way, in my opinion, for people to try to justify eating out, is that they'll try to convince you that it's just as expensive. I wholeheartedly disagree. Do not believe in that or subscribe to that at all. I think that if you are effectively meal planning and doing your grocery shopping, you are still going to save far more than you would if you ate out every meal. So that's the first thing, right? So let's kind of break down what I typically do from week to week to kind of get prepared and try to meal plan and everything like that. Now, I'll tell you right now, meal planning and coming up with our list of meals for the week is probably one of my least favorite things to do. Even though I love to cook, it is just, I don't like dedicating brain space to that when I got a bunch of other things swirling around in my mind. The last thing I'm trying to do is sit down and think about, okay, what meals do we want to have for every single night of this week, right? And so every time my wife sits down and says, hey, we need to come up with the meal plan for the week, I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Well, let's still do it. Like, it's always something I do begrudgingly, but it is beneficial, and I'm so grateful that I've done it after the fact, because it does make my week move far more efficiently. We save funds because we're not wasting a lot of trips or anything like that, and we're not eating out as much, right? And so it's definitely helpful to come up with that meal plan. And so what we do is we use an app called Cozy, C-O-Z-I. This is just one of app out there. I'm sure there's many others that serve a similar purpose. You could even use a Google spreadsheet or something like that too. But the thing that I like about Cozy is that it has both my wife and I have access to the same list that we can update in real time. right? So it has a checklist of things that you can create in there. And so we have one checklist that says, hey, here are our meals for the week. On Monday, we're going to do lasagna. On Tuesday, we'll do chicken burritos. On Wednesday, we'll do chicken lo mein or something like that. And we'll list out for each day of the week. And we'll also kind of plan around what we have going on that week, right? So if we have a meeting or an event or something happening one evening, we know, hey, we're probably not going to have a lot of time to cook, so we might want to do something really fast. We might just do cold cut sandwiches on this night, right? So we plan out as best we can for the entire week at the start before we do our grocery trip. And then I go through and say, okay, what are all the things that we need for each of these items? And I create a list in Cozy of every single item that we need. Say, hey, we need some potatoes. Hey, we need 2 yellow onions. We need some white bread. We need all these different things. I'll list out the entire list and take that list with me to the store when I'm shopping. It's important that it be a written list. I don't know how people go to the store without a written list, but I would highly advise against it, right? You need something in writing. I don't care how good your memory is. You need to apply that list to writing to make sure that you don't forget certain things or anything like that, but you need all that stuff with you. You need to have that list, and you need to be checking off that list as you're going through the store. Now, when the first few times that you do this, you're going to mess up, right? You're going to get there and you'll realize like, oh, I forgot half the ingredients for this one recipe. Oh, I forgot that we didn't have that, right? So it's going to be a learning curve, but the more you do it, the more you're going to be able to prepare and know exactly what you need for every single item that you're cooking, right? And go based off of that. Like I said, look in your pantry. Like, so before I went to the store yesterday, I looked in the pantry to see like, hey, like, okay, we need this. How do we have more of that in the pantry already? Like, what's in there? Made sure that was all set to go, right? So I have my written list with me. And the reason that that's probably one of the most important tips out there, and one of the most helpful, is that it helps you avoid the one thing trips, right? We all have those trips where you are, or moments where you're in the midst of cooking and you realize that you are missing a vital ingredient, or like, oh crap, I forgot the potatoes or something like that. And so you're like, okay, I'll just go to the store for this one thing. Right, and then you go to the store, you grab the potatoes, and then as you're heading to the checkout, you realize, oh man, I forgot we're running low on Ziploc bags. Let me grab some of those while we're here. Oh yeah, you know, it'd be really good if we had some like a French loaf bread to go with this meal, right? That's not expensive. It's just $1, right? I'll just grab that while I'm here too. And like, you're just grabbing all these little things on what was supposed to be this one thing trip, and before you know it, you get to the self-checkout, and this little one thing trip is now costing you $50. And you're like, where did that go? How did that happen so quickly? Right, and it happens to all of us, happens to the best of us, happens all the time, right? And so creating that written list up front helps you avoid those one thing trips. Now, there's always things where it inevitably comes up, right? Like I said, you're never going to be able to 100% completely eliminate the one thing trip, but you can drastically reduce the frequency of those trips if you can create and work off of a written list every single week, right? There are going to be some weeks where or maybe multiple weeks where you go by and don't have to go for additional trips at all. And there may be some times where you may have to go 2 or 3 times, right? It just depends on what else is happening. Life happens, right? You know, there's all things that kind of come into play. You might cook a meal and it may be the most disgusting thing you've ever tasted. And you're like, hey, we're going to have to call an audible and make something else, right? And so those things are going to happen. But if you have a written list, that is going to be far more effective in helping to make sure that you don't have to keep returning to the store. It also helps keep you in line and keeps you disciplined, right? Like I said, it's very easy for you. Grocery stores and the people who are marketers for grocery stores, as well as all the different products that are in there, they are all designed to try to take your money. Right, every single product in there is invented by a company, and all those companies have marketing departments that are figuring out what is the best way we can get you to buy our product, right? And so they are very strategic about the way they place items in there, the way they have stuff set up, and they are trying to get you to purchase their item, right? And so you have to be diligent and know that you need to go in with a plan. If you go in without a plan, if you just go in just free for all and just, hey, I'm going to get whatever is here, and I'm going to just go down every aisle and let the aisles speak to me and tell me what to get, you're going to have a massive grocery bill, right? You need to go in with a dedicated list, a dedicated plan, because again, these stores are designed to get you to overspend, to get you to get more than you actually need. And so having that written list helps keep you on track, gives you laser focus when you walk in. When I go into the grocery store nowadays, if I'm walking by an aisle and there's nothing on my list that is in that aisle, I'm going to skip right past that aisle. I do not subscribe to the theory that you need to walk up and down every single aisle. If anything, I'm trying to avoid that because I know that's going to lead to impulse spending. So I have my written list, and I'm only going down the aisles that have that list. And once you get better at this, you're going to get to a point where not only do you have a list that is detailed and strategic from the jump, but you're also going to know exactly where in the grocery store you need to go, right? And so you can plan out and map out your whole list, whatever, so you know that you don't even need to go down certain aisles because you know exactly what you need before you ever even walk in there. But I cannot overemphasize enough having a written list that you create every week, not only the list of all the meals that you have for that week, but also the list of all the ingredients you need, and going off of that written list and that written list only is going to save you tremendously, right? So that's one way to save. The other thing is just to simply plan around what's already in your pantry. I think a lot of people, when they make the argument that it's cheaper to eat out than it is to go to the grocery store, I think that they're talking about if you were working solely from scratch, right? If you're working from a bare pantry with absolutely nothing in there, you had to get all the seasonings new, you had to get all the different packages and everything else new. And so I still would have some pushback on that. I can understand how some people might say, like, hey, like if you bought everything new to make this one particular item, how it could be more expensive. But I still subscribe to the belief that it is going to be far more cost effective, even if it's more expensive up front, to kind of work off of that, right? And so hey, yes, it might be more expensive for me to get these seasonings on this one trip, but I can use these seasonings for the next 6 months, right? You can use those things and utilize them and continue to use them. And so, like I said, plan around what's already in the pantry. Well, last week we had spaghetti, and I got this big 2-pound pack of noodles or spaghetti noodles from Aldi. And so I only used a pound of it for the spaghetti we had last week. And so I still had some left this week. Wasn't really in the mood to do spaghetti again. And so I was like, hey, let's do chicken lo mein, but let's use the spaghetti noodles for that, right? That's what we're doing this week. Figure out what you have in your pantry and find ways to use it. And you really don't have an excuse nowadays with AI in the mix as well, too, right? You could go onto Gemini, ChatGPT, you can go to any of those guys, type in, hey, here's all the meals that we typically eat on most weeks, and just kind of say hey, here's the type of stuff we eat. Here's what's in my pantry. Can you give me some ideas of some stuff, right? So if you're struggling to be motivated to think of something for a meal plan, use AI to your advantage, right? Use it to help you come up with some meal plans or give you some ideas of some new things that you may want to try out. Like I said, that's always my biggest hurdle, and the thing that annoys me the most is just thinking of something, one, that I'm in the mood for, but two, that I actually want to do for that entire week, right? And so plan around what's in your pantry, use technology to your advantage, but make sure that you're actually going into your pantry beforehand. And again, this is why I always go back to that written list. No matter how good you think your memory may be, I guarantee you're always going to guess wrong when you're trying to go purely based off of what you think is in your pantry, right? You need to physically go look in your pantry, physically go look in your refrigerator before you go on these trips to see what's out there. The other third one, and this is a quick one, but it's one my dad told me years ago, and I found it to be true, is do not shop hungry, right? And so before you go on that grocery trip, when we go in the mornings, like I said, on Sunday mornings with my son, I make sure I have breakfast before I go, right? Don't ever go grocery shopping hungry. You're always going to overspend. I don't think I need to tell you why. You know why, right? Like I said, it's just if you go in on a full stomach, you getting exactly what you need and nothing else, whatever, right? And so don't shop hungry. Fourth, cook and shop in bulk, and also freeze to reduce the waste. Right. And so, excuse me, if I have something where I know I can get a huge pack of chicken from Sam's and have like 10 chicken breasts, but I only need 4 for the week, I might say, hey, let me freeze these other breasts and then I can use those for later on, right? I do that all the time. Now, you still have to be diligent and set reminders in your phone to say, hey, I need to make sure I thaw this out in time for whatever meal I have coming up. But that's always going to serve you far greater than just trying to go and buy something new every single time, right? You also have the ability to be able to freeze a lot of the stuff that you aren't using, right? So if there's a spaghetti sauce that I love to make that is homemade, and you can freeze it and use it for other things if you want to. Quick segue on that. There is a Instagram influencer I follow who does a really good job of giving tips on this. Her handle is at Naptime Kitchen. So at NAPTIME Kitchen. She gives a lot of practical, helpful hints and just kind of meal planning and meal prep and guides, but she's also kind of like the unofficial freezer queen. Gives a ton of tips and helpful items for learning exactly how to freeze different things and how to use it to your advantage. If you are willing to make the investment, I would also advise to get a standalone, like a flat top freezer as well. Like it usually, you can get some as cheap for as a couple hundred or a few $100, and that can be a great thing as well. We have one that was gifted to us years ago and use it all the time. I love that thing. It helps give us more room. And so it really opens up our meal plans for what we can do, because we know we have plenty of freezer space to go around to kind of save up for that. But if you can shop in bulk and use that, and then use that freezer to your advantage, that's going to make all the difference in the world, right? It really opens up your plans of what you can do. If something's on sale, you can get multiple of them, right? So usually around Thanksgiving time, when turkeys are really cheap, I'll usually buy, over the course of a few weeks, I'll buy like 3 or 4 turkeys, have one for Thanksgiving, and then I have the other 3 just sitting in the freezer for whenever I decide to use them, right? And so like there might be a week where we're saying, hey, we got some time this week. What do you say we pull one of those turkeys out of the freezer, thaw one of them, and that in and of itself, you can get 3 meals just off that turkey at least, right? And so like figuring out ways that you can use that freezer to your advantage is going to be very helpful. And then it can provide opportunities for you to take advantage of many of the deals and savings that are out there. And then lastly, study and plan your eat out trips. A lot of people think, like I said, they treat it almost like eating out as like a cardinal sin. I don't want you to be of that mindset, but I also don't want you to be of the mindset that I can just eat out whenever I want to, right? Plan it out. You are, and I've said this before, far more predictable than you realize, right? You can go into your bank statement, look through and see all the charges that you have for eating out, and you will come to find out that there's usually a pattern somewhere in there, right? Like you'll notice like, hey, we typically, because we have a Bible study this night, we usually eat out on those nights. Or, hey, we usually eat out when this event happens, or when this goes down, or we usually like to eat out on this specific day. You'll start to notice patterns in there. And the important thing is just to try to plan around those patterns, right? And so like, if you know, like hey, I know we're going to have just a crazy Saturday and there's no way in the world we're going to have any time to cook. Okay, we're going to need to eat out. Okay, let's plan that out for right now, right? Let's see like the coupon book. Let's look in there to see if there's any deals or savings in there. Let's look to see if there's ways that we can save on that right now. Or we know like, hey, if we plan this ahead of time, instead of just saying, hey, let's get pizza from here, we might be able to get pizza from somewhere where we know we can get a good deal or a good discount because we planned ahead for this trip, right? Same thing goes for any other place that you're eating out, right? Like if you can plan it out, it's going to serve you far more effectively than it's just a impulse decision where you're like, hey, I feel like I'm eating out right now. Those are the trips that truly break you, right? Where you're just like, you know what? I could do this, or I could go home and make this meal, but I don't really feel like it. Let's just eat out for now. And then before you know it, you spent $70 out to eat, and it's like, hey, that was $70 that I could have used elsewhere, I could have used for something else. And so I'm not telling you like, hey, don't ever eat out or don't ever like utilize that to your advantage. I'm saying just try to find the patterns in your schedule and plan that out to the best of your ability. Like I said, I'm a realtor, so my schedule is obviously all over the place. But even with my schedule being all over the place, we still have many times where we're able to call an audible and move and shift things around to where we're not wasting and we're not eating out a ton, but we're still utilizing our grocery list. And so it can be done, and I'm proof of that. But it can be an effective way for you to not only save money in the short term as far as getting ready and ramping up for your home purchase, but after you become a homeowner, these tips are going to be just as crucial in helping you in years to come save and be financially frugal and responsible with your finances. So hope that you find those tips helpful. Again, I do not think that this is the end all be all and that if you do this, you'll be great and you'll never have money issues again. But it is a great way to kind of help get you over that hump. Remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And this is an excellent way to kind of help create some discipline and some guardrails in your life financially. Hope that you found that helpful. I'll talk to you guys next week.